Hello everyone, welcome to your Illustrator challenge. For today, we're working with typography and we're going to be creating experimental typography. One of my favorite things, I'll show you all my tips and tricks, blends. We're doing envelope distorts, we're doing effects, backgrounds, everything that you need to know to make a really cool poster. So if you want to join me, click on the link down in the description to grab your source file. And that source file looks like this. And that's what we'll be working today. We're going to be hopping around doing typography, but also doing a bit of color as well. So I'll show you some cool tools and then a bunch of tricks so that you can work together here. So let's go ahead and work in Adobe Illustrator, open it up, click on the file, and let's go ahead and just start out with kind of exploring some of the ideas that we want. So the poster that I'm going to be creating is for a band, and that band is called Animal Collective. They're one of my favorite bands. They're wild, just crazy weird stuff. And that's what we want today is crazy weird stuff. So I'm going to start out, and to use the type tool, again, you're just going to click on T, and then you're just going to click, and I'm going to type out Animal Collective. Right there. If I want to find a font that is the perfect font, let's go ahead and hit Control T. And right there, we can open up our type panel and come down here and actually look for more fonts. I can scroll through and see if I find anything. I actually want to turn on the decorative filter right here. So I'm going to turn on the decorative filter, and that will give me some really weird, fun, crazy fonts. And I'm just going to scroll through and see if I find anything that is interesting to me. I actually like, let's go ahead. Let's use this one. Let's use, I want something that's a little more readable. Actually, let's go ahead and do a sans serif. It'll be easier. Let's go ahead and do a thick sans serif. It'll just be easier for everything that we're working on. And let's pick right here. I like Adriana Condensed Extra Bold. And we're going to go ahead and push this button that puts it in all caps. Looks good to me. All right, so with typography, you can do a bunch of things. And the first that I'm going to show you is type on a path. So if we create a shape, so let's go ahead and just create a circle. With this, the outside of this is a path and it's heading in a direction. We can actually put type on that path by hitting T and then holding Alt or Option. Let me make this a different color so y'all can see a little bit better. You can see that if it is a circle, that means that it is going to type inside of that object. If you hold Alt or Option, it's going to type on that path. So I'm going to click and then we start typing on that path. So I'm going to type in Animal Collective. And from there, I'm just going to take the size up a lot. Let's take this actually to like 100. So pretty big, and we want to align that to the center right here, align center. And then we can scroll this all the way around to the middle right there. We do have a question from our live chat, and that question, if you're watching this on YouTube, thanks for watching. Hello, leave a comment down below. Make sure you subscribe to the channel right over here. If you're watching this live, 11:30 a.m. Pacific time, almost every day, we have Illustrator content for you here. And April Marks from our live chat is asking, what does a path mean? So let me show you. So a path is this. It is literally any start and stop point in Illustrator. A path always has something called anchor points. And a path starts in one place and then it ends in another place, sometimes with anchor points on the way. So a path is just a line. And sometimes that line connects so that we have a full circle. But the path is not the shape. The path is kind of the line around it. We also have a request in our live chat to do an Applebee's rebrand from our friend Raymond Alva. If you have suggestions for things that you want to learn, just let me know. Drop it in chat or drop it in the comments down below. So to change the settings on this, we can go to Type on a Path and go to Type on a Path Options. There are a bunch of different options here, and we are going to explore some of these because we're doing experimental stuff. Let's just click through and see what happens. So we can go on Preview right here. So Skew, pretty cool, going to create that 3D effect. 3D Ribbon is going to give us that perspective wrapping around the shape. Stair Step is just going to align it flat. And then if we do gravity, it's actually going to pull into the center of the object. So gravity looks a little bit different if we do something like a square. Again, holding Alt or Option, and we put in our band name. And from there, if we change that setting by going to type on a path options. If we change it to gravity, I just wanted to kind of show you what it does. It is going to kind of pull to the center of whatever object you're working on, right? So you can see it's pulling toward the center of that square. It doesn't really work very well in circles because it just pulls to the center of the circle, so everything looks the same. Something else that we can do is align it to the center, which means that it's going to align to the center of this object. Now, that already accidentally looks really cool, and I'm going to keep it. So we're doing gravity, center, and then auto spacing. You can change the spacing to be tighter or looser, however you want it to be. We're just going to go ahead and leave that at 0. So I hit OK, and the cool thing about type on a path is if I start to stretch this, you can see it's actually going to continue to adjust to that path. We are not adjusting the text. We are adjusting the path that text is on. This is a music video already. So that looks really cool. And I do want this to align to the center right there. But there is a problem, is that our center is set in the wrong place. So if you come down to here, you can see that there are 2 points. One is here with a little right arrow. One is here with a little left arrow. That means this is the start, this is the stop, and this is the center down here. So the center, we do want it to scroll all the way up here to the center of our object. So I'm just clicking and dragging that little node that's right there, that little line, and that will realign the center of our type. So right now, I am going to play around with kind of just making this fit in the box of our object. I am not mad about how this looks. So this is looking really cool. And again, really crazy. The goal today is to be experimental, to try some new things. So I really like this, but I want to make it a little bit crazier. That's right. So I'm going to grab some color, and I want to grab some psychedelic color, something crazy. So we're going to go to color.adobe.com. And from there, we're going to go to Explore. And Explore is a great place to find color palettes to use, so you don't have to come up with your own. The community is all building them together here at Adobe Color. So I am going to type in psychedelic. There we go. And look at some of these color palettes to find something that's like a little bit crazy and wild. And I'm actually loving the... Ooh, I like this one. This looks really cool. So I think that even though the image isn't as psychedelic, I think these colors are really psychedelic. So I'm just going to click on Add to Library. That will add it to my library, which is cool because I can come back to Illustrator, open up my Creative Cloud library, which has disappeared. You can go to Windows and open up libraries if you don't have it. And from there, it should be in this challenge. Yep, right there. So my nice psychedelic palette, I can right click and go to add to swatches. Oops, sorry. Right click and go add theme to swatches. And now I have all of my colors. So now I can start playing around, and maybe I want this red to be the big pop, right? And I think I want a yellow in the background. So I'm just going to make a shape all the way in the background to fill that space and make it that yellow. Send it to the back. I can right click, arrange, and send to back. All right, so we already have something cool going. Let's get wild. Let's get totally wild. And I maybe want to put the dates down here, I think, of when this show is happening. So I'm going to do another type on a path by using an L, which is the ellipse tool. And we are just going to align it. So I click and drag with the ellipse tool, and it will drag out this shape. Now, I don't want the whole shape. I only want the bottom part of this type. So I'm going to use the direct selection tool to select the top anchor point right here and delete it. From there, I'm going to click on this, and because it's a path, you'll see that it only has the line option, right? Before, on the shape, it had the circle option, which would put the type inside of the shape. If you're working with just a path that isn't closed, right, it's not a full shape, it will only give you type on a path options. So we're going to click, and then I'm just going to type out September. Let me go ahead. And again, I clicked on the start point too close. So I can grab this start point right here and then just click and drag so that it goes all the way to the other side. It's also aligned to the wrong side. All I need to do is grab that middle point and click and drag up. And there you go. It will flip to the other side. I do want it to be in the center of the line. So let's go to type. Actually, let's go ahead and type this out first. Let's put it next week. That's not next week, but in a couple weeks. So from there, we can go to type on a path, and I do want to align it to the center again by just typing right here, center. So you can see the preview looks pretty good. I am going to space this out a bit. And to do that, I can open my type panel right here and just increase the spacing. Cool, looks pretty good. All right, so now we have this really cool type. Oops, let me scale that up. This cool type that kind of is sitting at the bottom of our poster. Here's where we're gonna just break everything. Here's where we're gonna make everything totally insane. I'm gonna add a color to this. Everybody hold on. We're gonna make this one this dark blue. That's right, so I love this color scheme already. It's gorgeous. And now what I wanna do is I'm actually going to make a copy of both of these. I'm just gonna Control C, Control V to paste and then move it over to the side. That way I have a copy that is editable. Now let's destroy everything and get really experimental by selecting both of these and hitting Control Shift O. And someone's asking me to save first. Nah, we go all the way in. We go 25 minutes, no saves. If you're working at home, please save your document. All right, so what we're gonna do is we are going to go to Object and Expand. We want our type to not be actual type. We want it to be these shapes. So you can see that these shapes, the type is now converted into a shape. If I come in here, I can move this shape. I can move these anchor points right here because it no longer is type. It is just a shape. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you a blend. A blend is something that's used typically to move between two colors, right? So if I have two colors and they are different objects, a blue here and maybe a yellow here, with both of these selected, I can go to Object, Blend, Make. And it's going to blend that together for me so that I don't have to figure out what's happening between one object and another. What's cool about blends as well is you can actually do it with different objects. So if you want to get some weird shapes, you can come in here and we can do two different shapes. Select both of those and go to Object, Blend, Make. And you see it blends those two shapes together. Now, not only is it going to change the colors, we can go in here and go to Object, Blend, and then go into Blend Options. And from here, instead of smooth color, we actually want the shapes. And so we can go to Specified Steps, and 240 is way too many. So I'm gonna do 2. And you can see there that not only is it changing the color, it's also changing the actual shape. So we're gonna hit OK. And now you can see that we have the shape blending as well as the color blending. What happens if we do that with type? What happens not only if we do that with type, what happens if we do that with a bunch of different type? So here's where we go crazy. We are going to be changing type, we're going to be changing shape, we're going to be changing color all at the same time by selecting both of these objects and then going to Object, Blend. Are you ready? Make. So right now there is only one blend happening. And what's great about this for experimental typography is that Illustrator's trying to figure out how to take one letter and transform it to another, right? It's taking the A and trying to transform it into the S. And so all these letters get wonky and weird and crazy. So right here, you can see this is the spine. This is where it is creating that blend. So I'm going to go ahead and go to Object, Blend, Blend Options. And from here, we do want specified steps. Right now it is 1, but we're going to take this up. And as you see, as we take this up, it is creating this like cascade of type. Each one is getting a little bit crazier as it tries to push those letters together, right? So you can see here, it looks like the O is kind of turning into the C into the B. And this is great because Illustrator doesn't know what to do with this. You're saying, hey, instead of going from a circle to a square, can you go from this super complex object that's actually 20 different objects into these other objects that are 20 objects? And I say that Illustrator doesn't know what to do. Illustrator actually knows exactly what to do, and that's why we can see it. It is just pure insanity. This is one of my favorite things to do. So if we want to change the direction of this, right, make it look like it's going a different direction, all we need to do is double click into the blend. So double click into the blend, and from here we can select this, right click, and go to Arrange, Send to Back. And that way the band name is really standing out a little bit more. So I do want the date actually a little bit more. So I'm going to go ahead and move that back to the front. And if I wanted to, I could even come in here and change individual letters, right? So we could pick some of these letters to get really psychedelic and wild here. Just grab a couple over here. All right, and I could change these colors to this green. And what it's going to do is you can see it is also changing those colors so that they blend between the colors. So that's a little too crazy for me. We're going to go ahead and leave it right there. I think that looks interesting. I also can stretch this, just click and drag to stretch this all the way down to create this wild and wonky poster. Now, I also want to add some more details into this, right? So we have the name of the band. We also have the date of the show. I want to go ahead and add in location. And the location is going to be at the Fonda. I'm actually going to see Muse there in a couple weeks, which will be fun. But we are going to go ahead and add in the Fonda Theater just because it is short and one word. And I'm going to show you another way that you can create some really wild type. I'm going to make this green color so that it stands out just a little bit. And all I need to do here is instead of doing a path or typing inside an object, I'm going to make an object, take our type, and say, hey, slam these together and see what they create. So with the pen tool, I'm going to just click into here and create a weird and wonky shape. And oh yes, someone is saying in our live chat, I can't read the original band name. Maybe put outlines on the original. That's a great idea. So what's great is I can click in here and just grab this by hitting Control C or going to Edit Copy. And then go to Edit, Paste in Place. That will paste the copy directly on top of this crazy blend. And then maybe I want to change it to a stroke. So I can come here, swap, fill, and stroke. And then I'll add in the size of the stroke using the stroke panel right here. Maybe I want it to be 10. And then let's align it to the inside. And then let's maybe make that white. Oops. Make the stroke white, excuse me. All right, so that looks good, and we maybe want to take this to like 2. Yeah, now that's looking really cool. What I do like to do sometimes is also create blends with strokes. It's really crazy. So, but for now, we're going to use Fonda. And this, again, is for experimental typography. It's to make it crazy and wild. Let's go ahead and do the same thing down here with the date. Just using the eyedropper tool, and I just copied it and pasted it in place again. That's getting a little bit more readable while still staying completely crazy and experimental. So we can use the pen tool here, just hitting P right there. And I'm going to click in this area, right? Create something really weird and wild around this object, right? I want to just fill in this area right there. So with that, this is going to be completely unreadable. So everyone know, there's a difference between readability and legibility. I want you to understand it. You don't necessarily have to be able to read it. So with this shape, I'm going to select my type. So I have the type here for the venue that it is. We're going to select those 2 objects. We need to make sure that this object is in the front. So we're going to right click and go to Arrange, Send to Front. Sorry, Bring to Front. We are going to select both of these together and then use a super fun technique that is Object, Envelope Distort, and Make with Top Object. What it's going to do is it's going to take the pieces of that object that we created and smash the type to hit each of those anchor points with a piece of the type. So when we do this, oh, it's wild. So what it's doing is it's basically taking this shape that we created and slamming this type so that you see it's hitting every one of those anchor points and bending the type to its will, right, with each of those anchor points. So maybe it actually needs to say the Fonda. What's cool is I can double click in here and this is still live type. So maybe I want a different font. Let's do that. I can select this and then I can put a different font in here. Let's maybe do Let's do this one. So it's a little less crazy. So we click there and you can see that I can actually change that font. Maybe I want it to be a serif this time to create some nice kind of contrast. Cool. So you can see that it is smashing that type into the shape. So I'm going to create a copy of this and I just, I'm going to create a copy of this type and I can just use the type tool again to just click in there, hit Control C to make a copy and then paste. And what's cool is I can just really quickly make a bunch of these different shapes that are going to span all this open space in the design that I'm working with. And again, just use the tool to right click, arrange, bring to front, select both, and then go to, again, object, envelope, distort, make with top object. The hotkey for that is Control Shift Alt C, I believe. It's a little crazy, but it's a good hotkey to create that. So I'm going to do one more here. And again, it's not about being readable necessarily. It's about the aesthetic. And as long as people can kind of understand the idea, that's what counts. What's great is this would probably be accompanied with something that would have the information. So it's more about finding the aesthetic. So I just hit Control Alt C right there, and that made that mesh with the top object. What's cool is I also can do this using curves. So if I'm using a curved object, right, to kind of catch this line, it is going to create that. It doesn't have to be harsh lines. We're going to do just that space, select those two, and then Control Alt C, and it will push that all the way through. This is looking so crazy, and I love every second of it. I do want that to go to the back, so I'm just going to send it backwards right there. So we have a little more craziness happening. All right, so we have made a very experimental poster using envelope distorts, using type on a path, using some strokes, some colors, and even the integrations with Adobe Color. And what I want you to do is I want you to create a poster that is like this. Do it for your favorite band, do it for your favorite movie, but make something that's a little bit crazy, a little bit experimental, maybe a little out of your comfort zone. From there, you can either take a screenshot or you can export it. And the way to export it is to go to File, Export, Export As, and that will take you to a place where you can export it. You can see these are all the assets from challenges that we've done in the past. And let's go ahead and just do Use Artboards. And we want just Artboard 1 because that's what we have been working with. Experimental typography looks great. And we're going to do just a JPEG. You can do PNG, JPEG, pretty much any of those will work. JPEG or PNG, let's just do that. You can export right there, perfect settings, don't mess with those right now. And then you can come over to Discord, right? The Discord's right over there, bit.ly/AI Discord. It's the place to be to get feedback and share the work that you are working on during these challenges. If you scroll down, right, so you land here, you have to do a little entry thing, and then you can scroll down and right there, DCC feedback. And you can get feedback, see that there are challenges happening all the time. This is always happening. If you're watching the replay, post in Discord. There are definitely people that will help you out if you're trying to learn, if you have questions, or if you just want to show off your work, right? It's really, really great resource to have. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab my file and I'm going to drop it in Discord so that you all can see it right here. So as we work together, I can say, here's what we made on the challenge today. Any feedback? We're going to need a lot of feedback because it is wild. So play around, create something totally insane, and then make sure that you post it over in Discord. I would love to see your work and love to see what you are working on. One thing that I do want to mention before we close out, everyone take your mouse wherever it is, your cursor on the screen, and just follow my finger. Follow my finger right here. So right here, everybody on the cursor right there. All right, we're going over here. We're zooming over that way. We're going right here. All right, the title of the video right there. Make sure your cursor is right there and click. Once you click, it will take you to the Adobe Live YouTube channel. We are on a new YouTube channel, so click that subscribe button now that you're there in a new tab and you're hearing my voice. Go ahead and subscribe there. And someone in our live chat is saying, do you usually answer in Discord? Yep. I'm in there. I'll answer in Discord 100%. Just tag me, hoch.co, HOCHDOTCO is my Discord. Tag me, I'll give you some feedback, and it'll be a great time. I'll see you all again for another challenge in the future. Have a great day, and go destroy some type.